Hi, I'm Josh Harris, Associate State Director of Advocacy and Outreach with AARP Illinois. Welcome to the 2021 Gallery Gishard Virtual Trolley Tour. AARP Illinois is proud to sponsor the Virtual Trolley Tour as a celebration of Bronzeville's vibrant community. Gallery Gishard and its partner galleries are essential to preserving the cultural heritage of Bronzeville. We'd like to take a minute to remind all Illinoisans that AARP Illinois fights every day to advocate for affordable housing, affordable health care, community safety, and community development. Just this past year, we launched our multi-year Disrupt Disparities initiative, which focuses on advocating for laws to bring about necessary change to older adults of color all across the state. Already in 2021, we're proud to report legislative wins that expand retirement access to more than 1 million more Illinois residents, expanding telehealth options, which we know were so critical during the COVID-19 pandemic, expanding property tax relief for older adult homeowners, and creating more diversity on the Illinois Broadband Advisory Council. By continuing to support communities in this way, AARP wants to ensure that residents can age in place in multi-generational communities where their history can be celebrated. To learn more about AARP, visit aarp.org/il. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to the Southside Community Arts Center. My name is Monique Brinkman-Hill, Executive Director of this amazing institution. We're happy to be celebrating our 80th anniversary and appreciate your support as we preserve the house that art built. With exciting news, we're in the midst of planning to host our historic art auction in October. More details to come. Please follow us across social media and become a member to stay up to date on our programming. We're excited to welcome you to the 2021 Bronzeville Art Trolley Tour. Our first show features Curator Ciera McKissick and the exhibition Just Above the Wall to the Right. Please help us welcome Ciera McKissick.
Hi, my name is Ciera Alyse McKissick, and I'm the curator of Just Above My Wall to the Right at the Southside Community Arts Center. It's been a wonderful journey to curate this show here, and it's been a space that I've been wanting to work with for quite some time. I also am an independent curator. I work with emerging artists across different disciplines, whether it's artists, musicians, dancers, poets, and I also throw events and run a brand called AMFM, which stands for Arts, Music, Fashion Magazine. And I formerly had a gallery space located in Pilsen, and since then we've done pop-up exhibitions, pop-up music showcases all around the city of Chicago. I'm originally from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, and I've been in Chicago for about 7 years now. And I write for a number of different publications as well about the arts. And this space in particular has been very inspirational to me because, like myself, I was an artist and a person who wanted to put on for artists in the city and create space for emerging artists when other spaces wouldn't necessarily put their art on the walls or take shows from them as well. So this space was started by 8 emerging artists that graduated from the School of the Art Institute and pooled their money together so that they could create this space. And it has lived on for 80 years. So that's a huge inspiration to me. There's so much legacy in this space. And really, that inspired me to want to do this show and wrap all of that history together and work with the collections from the Southside Community Arts Center alongside Black collectors from Chicago. Oftentimes when you think about a collector, you're not seeing Black individuals, you're seeing white people. You think that you have to be rich. You think that if you don't have the ability to acquire work or showcase work, that's not something that's attainable. So I wanted to bring those things together to create a conversation around collecting art and show people that you too can be a collector as well. And what a wonderful place, other than the Southside Community Arts Center, then to do that show. Collecting and art dealing for quite some time. As someone who collects art myself and who deals work and works with a lot of different artists, conversations around those things have always been of interest to me. I remember I checked out a book actually from the School of the Art Institute called The Art Dealers, and reading through that book, trying to gain some insight on what art dealers look like, how they got their start, and just learn more stories about them. And what I found from that book was a lot of the people that were in that book were white men. And if there were women present, which were two white women were the ones in the book, I started to think about who were the Black gallerists and who were the Black art dealers that are doing this work and how did they get their start. So I was already thinking in that mindset and that framework. So when I was coming here to guest curate this show, I was really inspired by the collections of the Southside Community Arts Center. There was rebranding going on with this space. They were putting all of their works of the collection onto their new website. And I kind of was just perusing through and looking into what was a part of their work. And I fell in love with this piece by Sylvester Britton, and I just loved the contemporary aspect of it. It looked like it could have been something that was made today. I posted it on my Instagram, and the people who saw the post went crazy. They were like, I love this piece so much. So I knew that I was onto something. But because it was a part of the collection here, I was like, how can I show this work? Like, I want to show this work. I became obsessed with it and started digging and learning more about the artists as well, and ended up conceptualizing, working specifically with the collections here. And then thinking about how I can bring in other collectors to showcase their work. And really it was word of mouth. I know a lot of different people within the art sphere of Chicago and people who collect work. So I started to ask people if I could do interviews with them and talk to them about how they began collecting and what types of things that they collected as well. So one thing led to another, and I was able to get referrals from them about other collectors that I should reach out to. And then we got a nice group of 13 people that I was able to ask them if they would loan their work to be shown in an exhibition here. It was really awesome because I was able to go to some of the homes of some of these individuals, which particularly now during the COVID times and pandemic, many people weren't inviting people into their homes. So to be able to be invited into such an intimate space and have conversations with people in their homes and see their works and see their relics and be able to talk to them one-on-one was really, really special to me. I recorded all of the interviews, and I still have those audios as well. And some people I met with over Zoom, and we had conversations, and they were able to show me images of their work. And it was kind of a collaborative process of me seeing something in their collection that I wanted to showcase, or artists that I really wanted to pull from their collection. Particularly was focused on Black artists in particular, artists from Chicago, and also people who were emerging, but also on the spectrum of being established. So that was kind of the impetus behind wanting to put those two things together. And then what you see here is a culmination of all of that work. And I'm really excited to show you some of the pieces. So this piece here is by an artist named Solomon Adufa. It's from the collection of Patricia Andrews-Keenan. And it was a commission-based piece that she wanted him to make for her. And it's called Speechless Before the Golden Brittle 2. This is actually one of the smallest pieces that I've seen from Solomon. He usually makes really large-scale works that are almost as big as this wall. And he's a Ghanaian artist, and originally came here when he was about 16 or 17 years old, and has been going back and forth between Ghana and here to photograph and showcase the individuals from his hometown so that people can see what people from Africa and people from Ghana look like, so that we can dispel some of those myths as well. There's a lot of storytelling that's behind the portraits that he does as well, and it's very, very realist work. And Patricia is a really awesome collector. She runs an organization and publication called Pigment International, where she's specifically focused on working with young Black artists and doing write-ups and doing fairs and showcasing their work all around. So this work for her in particular, she said, was a really great work to have in her collection, and she was very adamant about wanting to showcase this piece here. There's a lot of embellishment and details behind it, and if you come up close, you can see some of the details that are behind it. It's very reminiscent of Kehinde Wiley with the detailed background, almost like wallpaper design. And what I really love about the piece itself is the way that she framed it. It's very ornate and really adds an element of royalty or embellishment to heighten the piece, so that you can see that this girl is worth something, and she definitely is a part of a larger story that people need to learn about as well. So this wall in particular, I was really focused on young boyhood turning into manhood. So all of the pieces that you'll see on this wall are really speaking to that. And I really wanted to have it be of a focal point to talk about what it means to be a man, especially a black man in society nowadays. There's so much stigma and so much on the weight of their backs and their shoulders, and I wanted to showcase them in a way where they were just being themselves and being soft and just chilling. So that's why this piece in particular, Two Young Brothers, which it's called, by a photographer, John H. Blanton, from the collection of Stephanie Graham, is really, really interesting to me because, one, you would think that this was a piece from the Southside Community Arts Center because it appears to be an older image from the 70s, and you're seeing that, but actually it's the work from one of the collectors. And it was just a street photography shot that the photographer took of two young men that he saw on the corner there. And they're just, like I said, they're just being themselves, and they're just able to, you know, have that cool essence about them, thinking about like the black cool and like how black people are really able to embody that. So this piece is actually one of my favorite pieces in the show, and having it alongside other works that also showcase young brothers really embodies kind of that theme that I was thinking about. Stephanie herself didn't originally think of herself as a collector, so she was really surprised when I reached out to her and wanted to feature some works from her collection. And she talked specifically about this piece because she saw it and it was something that she wanted to bring forth. And she actually brought the artist, John, who she has a really intimate relationship with, to see the work here. And it was really great to see the camaraderie between the two of them and photograph them in front of this work. And not only showcase this elder artist who was making work during a time when black artists weren't getting as much limelight as well, and working alongside another black artist who just so happens to be a collector, and thinking about the relationship between the artist and collector. So that was really, really special to me as well.
Rolling.
So in moving from that piece, we moved to this piece by Lawrence Agyei. And the title of this piece is actually Brothers as well, in the same vein of the first one that I talked about. And what's interesting about this piece is it's a more contemporary piece that was taken nowadays, but is made to look retro through their fashion and through their style. And this piece in particular is a part of a larger series of work that the photographer did, where these two brothers have on completely different outfits and are placed in different settings around the city and photographed together. And I think it's really beautiful the way that they are gazing at the camera. There's a certain softness to that feeling of their gaze and how their body movements are and how they're holding their hands as well. Just kind of leaning against that. So it also talks to that point that I was speaking about, the fact that they're able to just be and exist and let themselves be vulnerable and be soft and be seen in a way that they're not seen in a larger society. I think it was a part of a fashion spread because you can see in some of the other images that are a part of this series, the clothing is amazing and it's got that very retro feeling to it as well. So we're going to move on to this piece in particular. It's along the same lines of that as well, and this piece is called Checking It Out, We Got Next. And we got next is like a phrase of like they're looking out into the future, they're thinking about what's ahead for them. And really I love kind of how they look like children, kind of just out on a day where they're playing and like enjoying time outside. And the way that the line work is really, really fine. It almost looks like it could be a photocopy of an image, but it's all really, really fine, detailed graphite and pencil work as well. And I just kind of really love how they're leaning here and thinking about what's next and what's to come, which oftentimes young black boys and black men don't have the opportunity to dream and to think about those things. So this piece in particular speaks to that notion. So these two pieces behind me are by an artist named Hebru Brantley. This one here is called Samo No. 2, and then here we have Andy No. 2. And if you have a good eye, you can recognize who these folks are. This is a representation of Jean-Michel Basquiat, and here we have Andy Warhol. They were very close confidants. Andy Warhol was a large part of Basquiat's career, and most people who know Black art and like Black art, one of the first people that they think of in our time is Basquiat as well. So Hebru Brantley is kind of like that for Chicago. He's a local artist who is really known for his murals that he's created around the city featuring Flyboy, and it's a really great representation, allowing children to dream and see themselves as this superhero kind of figure. So these are definitely different than the normal style of work that you would see on a large scale. They're sculptures, and I really love how he represented the two of them as young people. They're kids, and what Basquiat and Andy might have looked like when they were youth. So I really was grateful to have these in the show. They were loaned by collector Drew Instrumental, who was a really big collector of artists like Hebru Brantley, like Zeph Farnby, who works with Kayla Anderson, and a lot of muralists and artists that are within the scene of Chicago. So these are some of the most prolific pieces that we have a part of the show that really showcase Chicago in its urban sense, and a local artist who started off as an emerging artist and blew up to be known as a more widely recognized established artist in the city. So this piece here is called Universal Power, and it's by an artist named Max Sing Sing, and it's from the collection of Martha Wade. Martha is an artist in Chicago herself, and she is the son of a prolific artist from Chicago as well, Eugene E. Wade. And this piece I was really, really drawn to because, one, it featured Lauren Hansberry, who is a wonderful writer and playwright from Chicago, most widely known for A Raisin in the Sun. And also because this piece in particular is completely different than any style that I've seen from Max. He normally does murals in the city, and a lot of his work is super colorful. I'm talking like neon, like really rich colors. And for this piece to be in black and white and in pencil, it was something that I had never seen by him before. But if you look closely, you can see kind of the underlying beneath her eye and the drip. That is his signature, and that's how you know that that piece is by him. So he's able to fuse together the two. And I remember Martha talking about, when I interviewed her, about seeing this piece and really, really being drawn to it. And this piece was actually one of the first pieces that she said she bought as a collector. And being an artist herself and working with so many different artists in the city, she really tries to support other artists when they have shows. So if she sells a piece, she said she'll oftentimes buy work from another artist. So this is an embodiment of that kind of theory that she puts behind her practice of collecting. And I just love this piece so much, down to the gaze that she has, down to the framing of it as well, and the softness. So this piece here is also from the collection of Martha Wade, and as I was talking about Max Sing Sing's work before, known for his signature colorful style, this work is more in alignment with the work that we see from him today. It is on a smaller scale. This piece is called I Speak on What I Know, and it's actually leather on wood in a diameter like circular disc fashion. I really love the embellishment of the piece. You can see the splash of the spray paint there, and also if you get close to her ear and neck, you can also see some of those details alongside with the orange and the floral kind of design work that's peeking through. I really, really love this work, especially seeing the other piece in pencil, being able to look at those two from the collection of her work and be able to see the progression and the different styles that this artist has and presents. So this piece behind me is kind of the focal point of this side of the gallery as well. It's by an artist named Zeph Farnby from the collection of Drew Instrumental. And if you don't know this woman in this image, it's Angela Davis. She is most prolifically known for her activism in the Black Power movement. And I really love this piece because she looks so strong and so powerful. And for her to be placed above the mantle, kind of looking down over all of these artists and all of the work and her legacy, I felt like it was important to include this piece, especially for Drew. He really, really wanted to include this piece in there as well. But what I love about it as well is that it features Angela Davis, this Black artist, but it's also juxtaposed against a really widely known brand, Supreme, which, if you don't know that, they're known for their urban wear and street culture, like skateboard decks, t-shirts, and they're known for their signature logo kind of slapped on different things. On the New York Post as well. So I love how she's kind of looking up, hopefully, and that's what I really wanted to embody within this space and place her over the fireplace along the mantle. So it's one of the first things that you see when you come into this space. So this piece here is by an artist named Tori Powell, and it's called Shorty with the Wings, and you can see the wings on the back of the black boy here. It's from the collection of Rob McKay. Rob is a gallerist who runs a space here called Connect Gallery located in Hyde Park, and he actually has been introduced to art his entire life. When I was doing the interview with him, he told me that he's been surrounded by art since he was a young boy. His parents ran an African and black art store where he was in that store all the time. His parents were selling work. He was engaging and meeting artists all the time. They were involved in the movement, and there were all kinds of books that were moving through that space as well too. So he talked a lot about how that upbringing really influenced him to thinking about collecting work and working with artists and evolving into what he is today. He also talked a lot about how music really influences his artwork and his taste as well, and popular culture. So if you can see in this image in particular, the shoes here are Air Jordans, but they're in quotes because this is a shoe by Virgil Abloh, who is a designer and creative director who does different kinds of shoes and things as well, and his signature is to put things in quotes and to have a tag on the shoe here. And what I particularly love about this piece is you can't tell if the boy is taking flight, if he's an angel, if he's on guard. There's so much layered beneath this work as well, especially nowadays when young black boys are being targeted and shot at and killed as well. So this is sort of an embodiment of that. And I'm pretty sure that the artist was making a commentary on some of those things that we see in everyday media. But here it looks like he is standing on guard and is able to be ready for whatever is coming his way. So this piece here is by a local artist, Krista Franklin, and it's from the collection of John E. Ellis, MD. And it's titled The Lovers in Reverse. What I particularly love about this piece is there's so much layered within this piece. It's by Krista Franklin, and she's most widely known as a poet, but she also does collage work. She makes her own books. And in speaking with the artist about this work, she was talking specifically about wanting to bring more of the metaphysical to her practice and incorporate some of those different themes within the work. So if you look closely, there's a lot going on. One would think upon looking at it that it's upside down, but that's intentional. You have the lovers here, hence the title, The Lovers in Reverse. You have a bit of text from Their Eyes Were Watching God, and you can see the name Tea Cake there, who is one of the characters within that story. There's also this triangle figure that is a large symbol within the work. So if you keep looking at different layers, there's all kinds of little pieces and pockets that you can get lost in as well. She's a wonderful artist who is really making waves for herself within this city and talking about some deep things, and is one of those black artists who is really, really creating work that is beyond us and beyond space and talking about things at a higher realm and level. I definitely know that she's making work right now. She's doing a tarot deck. She talked about that in particular, focused on the work of Octavia Butler. So that's her next project. But it really speaks to that notion of her wanting to incorporate some of that more spirituality and metaphysical aspects of her work as well. You've got water, you've got plants, you've got trees, you've got fire, and you've got a lot of representations of all of those different things incorporated in this larger piece. And I'm sure there's things that I don't even know about that are deep within the work here as well too. So this piece here is by an artist, Cecil McDonald. It's from the collection of Rob Welsh, and it's called Peculiar Sensation. Rob Welsh is a really widely known collector in Chicago. When I went to his house, I was overwhelmed with how much work he had. I wanted to showcase everything. And this was actually one of the last works that I saw before I left, and I had to have it because I really love the composition and kind of how the black and darkness and shadows are really incorporated into here. There's something very intimate and soft about it, especially with the touch of the hand on the shoulder, and you're only seeing the back of the the man's face here. So that was really, really striking. It was also one of 3 images within this series, and I was just grateful to be able to take this one here. There's a lot going on, and I wonder what was happening before this moment, if this was an intentional touch, what they were thinking about and what they were talking about and experiencing before that. But I really love a lot of the play with the dark edges and how you're really honing in on that blackness there. Cecil McDonald is known for his photography work and working specifically with people in this way, whether he's doing social dance or really honing in on Black culture. So I really think that this is an embodiment of the themes that he deals with within his work. And it's one of a couple photo pieces that we have in the show overall. And I just love the scale and size of it as well. It's one of the first things that you see when you walk in through the door, and I just love it so much. So this piece is from the collection of Alicia Goodwin. It's called Kalina, and it's by acrylic artist Amigolene Thomas. I was so excited to get this piece because Amigolene is probably one of the most famous artists within this show. She's showcased in museums, and for the collector to be able to have this piece, I remember her talking about how she acquired it and how she was able to have this be a part of her home. It's an embellished print, so it's print itself, but you can see the detail of the glitter work that's on her shoes, on her bracelet, and on her, so you know that Micolene's hand was a part of this piece as well. And Alicia was also one of those artists who had so much work that I really wanted to showcase within the entire exhibition. I was overwhelmed by how many things that she had. We have 3 pieces from her collection here, and this is probably one of the most weighted pieces that we have in the collection as well. Super grateful for people to be able to see Amigolene Thomas work in person and here at the Southside Community Arts Center. I think that's a really special thing. So this piece here is also from the collection of Alicia Goodwin. It's by an artist, Natalie aldeker, and it's called Blue Hat. This was one of the first pieces that I saw when I came to visit her home, and I was immediately drawn to it. There's something about the imagery and the silhouette. You don't really see any line work that creates the figure here. It's really just based upon these small elements of design and things that outline the figure. I love it because it really is a representation of everyday like indie Black woman that you see, from her red lipstick to the hoops that she has to the beanie on her head. I fell in love with this piece and really loved the dotted work that she has here and some of the textural elements of it, along with the framework. And especially the way that the skin tone is kind of embodied within this piece here. Like I said before, you're not seeing the line of the face or the jawline, but it is inferred through the way that she outlined this piece and added all of the different elements on top of it. So I really love it. It's simple, but also it's complex in that way. And I just love the different tonality of the skin on it as well. So I was really excited to work with this space. I've never showcased work or curated a show in an untraditional art space. I've usually worked with white walls or white cube spaces. So I was really excited to work with these wood panels. There's so much history within this work, and it really changes the way that the work feels and the work looks. And I really fell in love with the way that it kind of wrapped the work. This is the Bauhaus design that a lot of these homes are known for. If you see these nails here, these are nails from the show that I hung and just recently took down, but they're a part of the legacy of this space now. A lot of times when we're talking about the Southside Community Arts Center, there are all kinds of artists who have come through this space. Nat King Cole played the piano here. Gordon Parks had a darkroom here and showcased some work here. So when you're looking at these holes on the walls in this space, these nails that I hung are a part of the story and a part of the history, next to the artists who have shown here in the past and are a part of the future of the artists who will be shown here for times to come. So thank you so much to the Southside Community Arts Center for having this legacy, being a space and a beacon for Black artists. It's one of the oldest spaces and one of the only spaces that started off nationally, specifically solely focusing on Black artists. And I was really privileged to be able to showcase Black collectors in this way and work with artists and works from the collection here. So much history on these walls.
Bye.